My encounter with Sarah Pitt. I live in a small suburb neighborhood in Washington state. All my life I'd lived there, and my neighbors were good people, except one. When I was 6 years old, my mother had started her own art entertainment business. My dad was a salesman, so my parents at one point decided to get a babysitter for me since they were gone all the time during the summer. My mother asked my neighbor, Heather, if her teenage daughter, Sierra, could babysit me and she would get paid. From what I recall, Sierra was a very down-to-earth person, like she was so serious all the time. My mother let her be my babysitter for 3 months. She would come over only for 30 minutes a day, and when she was there, I tried talking to her and to playing a board game or something with me. I would get so bored being left alone at the house. She never responded to anything that I said, which I just thought was strange since all the other people I met acted as if they were happy to see me. But she seemed as if she was depressed, so she chose to ignore me. She would come to my house and make me one bowl of mac and cheese or a sandwich a day and nothing else. She wouldn't even get me a bottle of water. Over a week of babysitting, she would come over less and less, which meant I was very lonely and often by myself for hours on end. It was almost like she neglected me for some reason, like I was a prisoner of war or something. By the end of the summer, Sierra had turned 16 and already was pregnant. She decided to leave her mother, Heather, and go out and live with her boyfriend who had recently moved to Phoenix, Arizona. She left, and Heather was devastated because Sierra never told her that she was moving to Phoenix. Heather became very ill after this and eventually died in her home due to heart failure only a year after Sierra had left. I never heard anything else about her, and to be honest, I was glad she was gone because I never really liked her at all since she chose to neglect me when babysitting me. 4 years later, I'm watching the news with my dad, and a story came up on the news about some single mother who left her children to die in a trailer park in Mesa, Arizona. Apparently, this woman had left her 2 children in her trailer in the woods just to starve to death with no water or food. She left to live with her new boyfriend. One of those children died as the other barely survived. A person who was driving through the desert in Mesa had noticed a trailer on the side of the road. The person had pulled over and heard screaming coming from the trailer, finding a horror show. She had abused, neglected, and tortured her own children over the span of 2 years. The trailer had no air condition, and 1 child died. They showed a picture of the woman, and it was Sierra. Sierra didn't want children, so instead of giving them up to foster care or CPS, she decided to kill them and collect life insurance policies she had on them. She had committed the worst act that a mother could do to her children. It still shocks me to this day that a person could have the ill will to do something to a child, especially one of their own. I don't know what she was convicted of, but I do know that she was sent to prison. I still feel so sorry for those children who had to endure the neglect from their mother. A babysitting tale. I'm a 16-year-old girl, and in my hometown there's a lot of old houses from the 1800s, but mainly a bunch of new houses. I just happened to get a babysitting gig with another girl because their kids were hard to take care of. Now, I wasn't very familiar with babysitting, seeing as I've only taken care of my cousin from time to time. Anyways, I went to the house after picking up the girl who was helping me with the kids, and let me just say, this house looked like a murder house from the 1800s. But I shook off the feeling and went in, meeting the parents. The girl and I were working from 4 to 11 p.m. Also, Halloween was the next week, so this just made it even more hectic. The girls and I got along great, and I could keep their names straight, unlike the other girl, who did nothing but play on her phone and didn't help with the kids. Things were fine until 9:30 p.m. when I had to put one of the kids down and the other one to bed. We had one kid left, and he was old enough to go to bed on his own. Once all of them went to bed, some crazy stuff happened, and we still can't explain how they did happen. The first thing that happened was the intercom. It was in the parents' office and the basement. Static and weird moans came from it. And the basement had footsteps running around and moving plastic bags. I heard a grown man's laugh where the kids were at, and I bolted up the stairs as fast as I could with a motherly instinct to protect them. When I got up there, they were all fine, and they had a guard dog to protect them upstairs, but you never know what can happen. Things got even weirder when those things kept happening, and the girl I was hiding with in the bathroom was of no help. So I got another guard dog since I wasn't downstairs a lot due to my runs to make sure the kids were safe. The big mistake was that the dog turned on me, biting me and the girl, and the kids as well. We had to leave the dog outside eventually. But I had to do something to protect the girls. Even if I disliked them, I still didn't want anything to happen to them. The parents came home at 11 p.m. and we told them everything, and well, the dad went to the basement and saw the intercom was turned on. The girl's food bag, which I saw her throw away, was down there. I wasn't scared because somehow I've always been fearless, but I was still trying to figure out how all of it happened. I'm looking into seeing if anyone was hurt or killed in that home. All I know is that whatever happened that night was just too weird to be human. House sitting. My husband and I live in South Africa and used to look after people's homes while they went on vacation. This incident happened back in 2019, and it still bothers me to this day because I have no explanation for it. It was our first day at, let's call them the Smith family home. Upon the meet and greet, everything was normal. However, from the moment we stepped inside the house alone, we felt uneasy. The atmosphere seemed off, and we couldn't figure out why. As days passed, I noticed that the dogs would stand in the doorway and bark into the hallway every night between midnight and 4 a.m. The room we slept in was at the very end of a long hallway. My husband is deaf and can't hear without his hearing aids, which he decides to take off before bed. One night, I decided to keep an eye out, and as soon as the clock struck 12, the dog started barking again, staring at something that I couldn't see. My heart started racing, and I tried to brush it off, thinking that maybe it was just the wind or an animal outside. One afternoon, I sat up on the bed and felt something hard in the bed. Being scared, feeling uneasy, and like we were being watched, we only stayed in the bedroom, which had a TV and an ensuite bathroom. We also only went to the kitchen if it was absolutely necessary to feed the dogs, not without each other, of course. I mentioned to my husband that I felt something hard in the bed, and he shrugged it off as one of the blankets that folded, but that didn't make sense to me. So I lifted the duvet, and that's when I found a feather duster in the bed. It wasn't there when I'd left the room earlier that day, and we made the bed like we do every morning. There were no signs that the bedding was tampered with, and instantly I thought my husband pranked me, but he swears it wasn't him, and he also looked weirded out. I took the feather duster and made my way to the kitchen, trying to find where it goes, because we don't even know where they keep it. That's when I noticed the back door was unhooked. You could only hook and unhook it from the inside. The hook is used to keep the door from slamming shut when you want it open. The back door stayed open, and the safety gate is locked all the time. The door is open for the dogs to be able to go outside to do their things. Seeing that the door was unhooked made me feel uneasy. Spooked, we decided to investigate every inch of the house, making sure that nobody had broken the home. We were worried that someone was hiding somewhere and waiting for us to go to bed to murder us in our sleep and clean out the house, but there was nothing. We're Christians, and we pray every day, but that night we prayed out loud for God's protection before going to bed, to make sure that whatever is lurking knows not to mess with us. After that, the dog still barked into the hallway, and we still felt like we were being watched, but not as intensely as before. When the Smith family returned, we debated whether we would tell them about our experiences, but in the end, we decided to just keep it quiet in case they didn't believe us. That was our last time house sitting for them. When they contacted us again, we told them we weren't available. We weren't interested in staying there again, no matter how much they paid us.